The real deal, New England feel.
I went up the rain. I went so down to be ashamed of myself.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Corso and Catone.
Welcome into Corso and Catone, the real deal, New England feel. I'm Corso. Catone, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Me?
You're
Why
right
me?
in the open.
Why me?
Because, on this day, this wonderful day, we'll get to it in a second. There he is, Mr. Shameful himself, Catone, and Joe's with us in the booth. You're watching us on YouTube, and make sure when you get on YouTube, you subscribe, give us that thumbs up, like it. That's what we're asking for. We appreciate that, of course. And check out our shorts and our short reels. Leave a comment. We will we'll play it on the show, even if it's not complimentary. That's okay. We like those too.
That's all right.
Actually, we like those more. So make sure you do that. And give us a call on Heated Hotline, 855-313-PATS, P-A-T-S. Message line 24/7. Joe will pick one, hopefully, or he'll pick something from the mailbag, corso.catone@gmail.com. If you're listening to us, it's on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, 790 The Score. Talking about that real estate today, the show right before us. Hey, on 790. Fantastic stuff. Got a good one. Speaking of fantastic, we're going to go in B's and C's, talk Celtics, Knicks. Buckle up for that one. And we're going to go back in the week and weekly rewind. What the hell are we talking about on that one today, Joe? I think we're talking about actually, you know what? We're not doing weekly rewind. We're staying B's and C's. So B's and C's, then Catone's comments, of course.
You don't even know what we're doing. How are you running this today? You don't even know what we're doing.
You know what? He just got on here like 30 seconds ago. Let's go. We ready to go. Let's go.
You're gonna hear why during Catone's comments I got on here 30 seconds ago. So hold tight.
We'll stick around for that.
The store.
Stick around for that. And, of course, going to hear from one of you in, am I right in saying that? No, Heated Hotline? Or are we talking about, what the hell is happening, Joe, with this outline?
Yankees, Red Sox.
Yankees versus Red Sox. I got everything wrong here today,
All right, that's okay.
Well, I just got out of church. Hi, guys.
Hey.
What's going on?
Let's hopefully we do a little better than how I started over here talking about all this stuff.
I hope.
Hey, we got a new Pope, guys.
Yes.
Leo the 14th.
Leo the 14th.
We're really.
Marc said good. I think that sounds like a wonderful new whiskey, or
Well, there is a cognac, or I think it's a cognac. It's called Louis the 14th, which is very expensive. So
that's Louis.
That's Louis. This is Leo, so it's a little different. Get your minds out of the gutter. You're talking about the Pope.
He just came from church. You're talking about drinking. We're screwed though, because not only is everything else against the Celtics, now God is against the Celtics because this Pope went to Villanova,
which is where Brunson and Hart and Bridges went to.
So we're screwed now. That's the end of that. Talking about being screwed. We want to definitely get to that with the Celtics. I don't think there's going to be much Bruins here. I don't think we're going to fit it in. There's too much to talk about with the Celtics, and we're going to do it right now, Joe.
Hit it! The Celtics are the world champions, and they have shown the world how great a ball club they really are.
All right, Marc, buckle up for the next pretty much half hour because this is what we're going to be talking about for a bit.
So, Chris, you're talking about getting screwed. I mean, I think it's just safe to say we can just touch on it for like 10 seconds. The Bruins got screwed in the lottery. They're picking 7th. The chances of them dropping to 7th was like 10%, and they're picking 7th or less, actually. So we got too much to talk about with the Celtics, but we can at least say the Bruins got screwed, and we can talk about that maybe. Over the next week or two.
Yeah, and like the NFL draft, it's about 2 deep, and then
that's it.
Everybody else. So, I wouldn't, Bruins fans, I wouldn't expect much out of this draft. So we'll see what happens. But let's get to the Celtics now. They're down 0-2 in the series. Nobody thunk it. No one here on this show, no one on any show thought that this would be the case.
No,
they're down 0-2. And before we get I figure we break this down into two segments. We'll talk about game one and then game two. Okay.
Very similar, by the way.
Well, similar in the sense that they blew two 20-point leads.
20-point leads, yes.
Did you guys know that they're the first team in NBA history to blow two 20-point leads in the playoffs? Not a playoff series.
In the playoffs.
But the whole playoffs.
I did not realize that. That's a good fact to bring up, Chris.
Makes sense. It makes sense.
That is not the side of history that
You
you
wanna
want to
be
be
on.
on.
No.
All right, let's talk about game one. They're up 20 points, as we just said. And then the fourth quarter happens. And, the Knicks, we know what they did. I mean, they grit, the fight,
Yep.
But can we all agree the Knicks stink? The Knicks are not a great basketball team.
They're not. They're absolutely not. But I will give them credit for this, Chris. When the game's on the line, they got guys that put their B's on the table.
That's right.
And they show some intensity. They're not good, though. You're right. They're not a good team.
No, I'm not saying they're bad. They're in the playoffs. But the point is, they're not, talent-wise on paper, they're not the Celtics. Okay?
Nowhere close.
But right now, the Celtics aren't the Celtics. And so let's talk about it. They broke the three-point record for misses.
45, right?
45. They were 45 of 60. Okay? So they're shooting 25 of 100 in this series from three-point land. 25%, Mark. So let's start there.
Well, first of all, you've taken 100 3-pointers in 2 games. That alone should tell you something. And you've only hit 25 of them. So my question is this. So it's like baseball, right? If you say you got a guy out there and the analytics tell you, okay, you got to throw a changeup to this hitter. You can't hit the changeup with whatever 2 strikes. But the weather's bad. You can't grip the ball. Your changeup isn't working. Why are you're not gonna throw the changeup because it's gonna hang and the guy's gonna hit a home run. It doesn't matter what the analytics tell you. It doesn't matter what the analytics tell us about our 3-point shooting and what Mazzulla has done during the course of the last 2 years to win with that. You're not shooting well. So change it. What are you doing? Doesn't matter what the hell the analytics are telling you.
There's literally no adjustments being made.
No.
And here's the thing, okay? Because I hear him in press conferences talking about situations, okay? But he talks about the shots. This is what's maddening. Joe, play this clip, please.
You satisfied with the shot selection in that second half?
Yeah, I mean, I think for the most part, obviously, over the course of the game, you always can find, 5-10 shots that you want to be better at. But, I thought throughout the night, for the most part, we fought for good looks, throughout the game. But, yeah, I mean, you can find 5 to 10 that we could be better at.
Okay, so that's his theory, okay? Just keep shooting. You shoot your way out of it. Just keep shooting. The math tells us it's going to be fine.
It's going to be fine.
So we'd like to have 10 or so shots back. Listen, Marc, he talks about situational basketball at points in his pressers, okay? And the media's, the stooges over there don't understand what the proper question to ask is. Here's the deal, okay? And this is what people are saying. This is what the fans are thinking out there. It's coming across the Mazzulla like, why are you taking so many 3-pointers? That's not the question. The question is, why aren't you playing situational basketball? Why aren't you adjusting to the situation you're in the game? That's the question that has to be asked. So if you're hitting 25% of your shots, you're not going to all of a sudden kick that number up to 35%, 40% in that game. No. It's been determined now that you're cold. You're not hitting these shots. So rather than keep taking them, you got to do something to get yourself out of that 25% issue, which means go to the lane, drive the lane, get off a pick and roll like Tatum a couple times in that game, comes off the pick, comes off the roll, gets the ball, and pulls up and shoots. If he drops his shoulder and just continues to the basket, he probably gets to the line.
Yeah.
If you do that enough, and the outside shots open up more, and maybe you start to calm yourself down, and maybe you start to hit the shot. That's situations. That's adjusting to the situation, Marc.
Yeah.
That's the question. Why aren't you adjusting to the situation you're in, Joe, which is we can't hit the broadside of a friggin' barn tonight?
My question is, why doesn't anybody follow the shot? Nobody follows up. Everybody just watches the one guy take the three-pointer from wherever they are. They all stand on the outside, let him take and then they all start going back.
Well, yeah, you're right, Joe, about that. That is true. And that's just the nature, I think, of what these guys do on a lot of teams now. That is a lost art, Joe. But the other thing, to go along with Joe's point, is when they do miss a shot, guy gets a rebound, Chris. Rather than trying to go back up and drawing contact and getting fouled, they immediately kick it back out and they take another three-pointer within 2 seconds. So Horford gets a rebound, looks, throws it back out. Sometimes he's throwing it back to the guy who took the shot, but throws it back out, another three. He got another rebound. He got 2 rebounds in a row, Chris. Rebound, throw it back out, another 3. Jesus, go up to the basket. Maybe you get fouled. You're getting the rebound. You're kicking it back out, and you're doing the same exact thing. That makes no sense to me. Okay, you took the three-pointer. You missed. Go up with the rebound.
Yeah, again, and it just doesn't seem to be – nobody on the sideline there is getting that into their brains. Listen, you got a situation in game 1. Towns gets his 3rd foul with 9:46 left in the second. He gets his 3rd foul. He should have fouled out of that game.
Yeah, he should have.
Brunson gets his 3rd foul with 2:45 2:45 into the second. He should have fouled out of that game.
Well, first of all, Chris, whoever Brunson's playing defense on should be taking him to the hole and drawing contact. Your guards can go to the hole, whether it's Holiday or White or whoever he's on. Take him to the damn hole and draw contact.
Right. I mean,
you're absolutely right, Chris.
It's. I mean, you go down the list of some of these numbers, and we talked about the 25%. Okay.
Well, the 25% was combined for 2 games, Chris. The first game, it wasn't even 25%.
No, 3-point was 25%.
The first game, I didn't even think it was that much.
Yeah, it was 15 to 60.
Okay.
So they were 25%, and then they hit 10 of them in the second game. So 10 for 40.
Yeah.
So the 25%, fine. They're getting through the offensive rebounds while they're not down statistically. They're down when it matters. They were getting killed on the boards there, and so you have and the turnovers. Look. You can't have 18 assists and 14, and in the second game, 17 and 17 assists to turnovers and expect to win.
Yeah.
I mean, these are the numbers. You can't get away from these numbers. So the point is, there's just nothing being done. And what bothers me too is the guys on the court. If Tatum, if you're the leader of this team, I don't care what they're telling you about 3-pointers because that's what they're telling them to do.
No, I know they are. But you know what bothers me?
Change it yourself.
Yeah. You know what bothers me? So at the end of that first game, there's a timeout called. No, yeah, they did go to a timeout, correct? Yeah.
On which one? Which game one?
The end of the first game, game 1.
Yeah.
Before it goes to overtime, the last play of regulation before overtime. Okay.
Yeah.
Chris says to me, Marc, here's the play. Here's what they're going to do. And here's what's going to happen. And I said, all right. And that's exactly what they did. And that's what happened. What you just so if you knew that, how the hell did the Knicks not know that? Of course they do. You told me, I was on the phone with you. You said, Marc, here's the play. They're not going to do it. This is what they always do. And the Knicks are going to know what's happening. And the Knicks knew what was happening.
Yeah. There was I don't know how many seconds left in the game.
I don't even remember.
But I said, they're going to walk it up. Tatum's going to, he's going to throw up a fadeaway on 1 foot, okay, instead of going to the basket. And then they're going to miss the shot. They're going to call a timeout. They're going to take it out, and Brunson's going to beat them. And that's just it. And that's exactly how it played out. I mean, I couldn't, yeah. Listen, like I said, I mean, and then Tatum, with here we are again in the playoffs. And for as much credit as we gave him against the Magic, Marc, he's invisible. I mean,
the
he's
first two games. Listen, yeah.
Game
invisible.
1 against the Knicks. The first half he had 13 points. Second half he had 10. He was 3 of 13 in the second half. He was 2 of 9 in the second half. Yeah, okay, he's got a ton of rebounds. But I don't need you to get rebounds.
He's gonna score.
I mean, score.
He's gonna score.
And it's just not there. I mean, they're reaching it down and it's not there. And and so when they talk at the end of game 1, Tatum and Brown, about settling for shots. So, we settled at times. Right?
But Mazzulla said they got good looks.
Mazzulla said they're happy with the looks.
Yeah, but
those guys are saying, we settled. We settled down the stretch. Well, that didn't seem to improve to game 2, and we got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to get into game 2. But this portion of B's and C's was presented by the Pats Nation, Sundays, 8 a.m. Eastern. Hey, tune in tomorrow. We're going to have undrafted free agent talk, Marc. We're going to talk about a wide receiver room. We're going to talk about how they're using these wide receivers and all of that. So make sure you're sticking around for that. But when we come back, going to continue with the Celtics and B's and C's. No flipping.
Sundays are for football. And here in New England, that means it's the Pats Nation with Corso and Catone. Sundays, 8 to 9 a.m.
Back in with more Corso and Catone, the real deal New England feel. All right, we were relatively calm in the last segment.
Yeah.
Because things happen. Sometimes it's a one-off. You lose a game. Now we get the game 2. Okay? And this is where I think we're going to get a little more pissed off. So we just said that those two guys said they settle for some shots, right?
Yeah.
Did you see anything different down the stretch?
No. Nothing. Nothing changed. Nothing was different. And some of the comments that Mazzulla makes after the game in the press conference is the same comments he made after the first game.
Right. It's and we have that. When Joe's ready, we'll play it. As to some of the things he had to say. But looking at the actual game, okay? So I get it. When you go down the roster and you look at, I'm not going to give injuries an excuse. I thought I may, but I'm not going to. Look, because you had a 20-point lead in both games. So clearly you were well enough to build that lead, right? Okay.
Yes.
So but I will say, Porzingis, if you're relying on Porzingis to win this game, you're going to get win the series, you're going to get swept.
Yeah.
Because he's just, that's it. Whatever's wrong with him.
I don't know what's wrong with him, Chris. I mean, what did he play yesterday? 8 minutes? Game 2, I mean? What did he play, 8 minutes?
Yeah, I'd have to look at the
No,
minutes.
he played more than that.
He played more than that. But I'm not going to give him, I hear a lot of people saying, hey, look, remember when Jordan played and he was sick? And remember when this guy did this and you got to step up? Look, I don't know what's wrong with him.
I don't know.
So I'm not going to fault the guy for one. I don't question these guys' toughness.
No.
I'm not doing that. So I don't know what's wrong with him. Because if he's got something really, really wrong, then, that's another issue. Brown is not right.
No, he's not right. Brown is definitely, Chris, he couldn't, he could, everything he was trying to do. Yes, he was losing the ball, dribbling. He went back to dribbling off his foot, dribbling off the thigh, couldn't ball handle. Something's not right. I know he's not 100%. What is he? Is he 60%? Is he 50%? I don't know. We don't know what he is, but he's definitely not the same Jaylen Brown we saw during the regular season.
No, and he's putting his head down when he has the ball. His head isn't up. It's not looking. He doesn't see the double coming, and he's easy to defend with the ball in his hand. Okay. Holiday is not even close to the guy he was last year defensively. He's just not. Okay. So now you have
either, Chris.
No. So you have that going on too. All right. They don't shoot the same percentage they did last year with the threes. They were out of hand with the type of percentage they shot last year. So that's not happening again. So, but they're using the same, and in this game, is same formula. Now I will say in this game there was a correction. They went to the lane. They started to try to drive, and in the first half of the game, they were getting to the basket, but they were missing easy layups when they drove the lane and they were missing those. But fine, they built a 20-point lead. But this all comes down, Marc, to the fourth quarter. Okay, in these games, one, they're not finishing quarters well. Because if they finished that third quarter really well, the Knicks wanted to just quit. They would have quit.
Chris, they should have came out. Listen, I get they were up 20 and they blew the game, yes. But they should have came out, Chris, and this game should have been an annihilation from the opening tap to the closing tap, just like OKC did in game 2 to Denver. They beat Denver. They were up 40 during points of that game against Denver. That's how a defending champion should come out if you're the Celtics. They should have played like OKC did in game 2 against Denver. Because, oh, by the way, Denver's a better team than the Knicks.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And OKC beat them by they were up at one point. They were up like 44 points in that game, Chris. I think they were 30-something. I mean, that's what the Celtics should have did.
Well, I got news for you. Both of those teams are better than the Celtics right now, too.
Well,
so,
yeah, they are.
Look,
they are.
Again, once again, these are the numbers, Marc. Look, Tatum and Brown would combine 4 points in the fourth quarter. Tatum was 1 of 5, and Jaylen Brown was 0 for 4. Now, between the two of them, they only took 9 shots. On the other side, Brunson and Bridges, they shot 16. They had 16 shots, and both of them combined for what? 23 points. I mean, there it is. I mean, you have to go to your stars in basketball. You got to look to your stars, okay? But I also got to look at Mazzulla. I mean, come on, Marc. Just because it looks like the three-point shot's open, it's not. It's still, that doesn't make it a good shot.
Yeah, but Chris, if you watch the defense of the Knicks, once they knew that they were not hitting again, similar down the stretch, fourth quarter, similar to game 1, their defense basically was allowing for them to take 3-pointers and protecting everything else. They were daring. They were telling him, go ahead and shoot them. You're not hitting them. Go ahead and shoot them. They were basically playing off, and in some cases, Chris, letting them shoot them.
Marc, listen, Tatum can get to the rim anytime he wants.
I understand that, but they're not doing it, and the Knicks knew they weren't doing it.
They're backing him up. They're backing down. But it just pisses you off. He can get to the rim any damn time he feels like in this series. Maybe Brown can't. He can't handle the ball well right now because of whatever's going on with him. But Tatum, there was a moment in the fourth quarter right at the end. Tatum was wide open in the corner for a 3-point. Nobody was between him and the basket.
He shoots.
Okay. As a matter of fact, Horford was sitting down there. Brunson fell down. He basically slipped and fell. He had 3 options: take the open 3, drive to the lane and dunk it. Okay, and possibly maybe get a foul. Or throw it into Horford for a dunk. One of those 3. What does he choose? He chooses at 25% for the night to shoot a damn 3-pointer, and he misses it, of course. I mean, that's how you stop runs. You stop runs by going to the damn basket, by shooting mid-range jumpers, by going to the rim, getting to the foul line, or that I forget how basketball works. So just because a 3-point shot's open, that doesn't mean it's the best shot to take, right?
No, absolutely not. And I'm going to tell you something else, Chris, what pissed me off at the end of that game. So at the end of the game, Mazzulla says in his press conference that, well, they went back to the play that had just worked previously.
We have that too, if you want to hear it.
Well, why don't you play that first, and then I'm going to tell you my take on that. Can we play that, Joe?
Yeah, Tatum and Brown, or you want the other one?
The other one.
Mazzulla, yeah, play that, because I want to talk about that.
All right, here we go.
What happened there in the last 5 minutes? It just seemed like you guys couldn't score, and they just made every play.
Yeah, they made every play, and like I said, throughout the end of the fourth quarter, I thought we generated some good looks, and then I thought we had some live ball turnovers, and they took advantage of it. So they made the necessary plays to win. We put ourselves in position to do that, and we just didn't make the plays.
You guys, two days off. How do you respond from this? This is just another blown 20-point lead. Exactly your worst nightmare. How do you come back from this?
You just take a look at it, figure out where you have to be better, and put a full 48 minutes together. So I have an understanding that it's going to be difficult. That's why we do what we do, and figure out where we have to get better and do that.
Joe, what was the thought process with not calling timeout there with 12 seconds left?
I had one left, got a good look on the exact same play 20 seconds earlier, tried to execute the exact same thing. They did a better job of their lower pickup point, and we weren't able to get the advantage that we had on the last Tatum dunk. So good full court setting. They subbed out Towns, we weren't able to sub out Brunson, had action there, and we just didn't execute.
Go.
Okay, so he's talking about the point where they pick up and play defense, and he's talking about the cover point. So they bring the ball up the court. The last time the play worked, they had somebody playing the ball. They backed off. They didn't do that this time. So when he dribbles the ball up the court, all you had to do was look as a coach. The defense is different. It's not the same setup as we just got. And then he hits half court, called the timeout. It's not going to work. They backed down on They knew what you were going to try again. They defended it differently. Called the damn timeout. What the hell are you doing?
But did the whole class really think they weren't going to adjust to it? Did he really think the same play was going to work twice?
Yeah. Well, he thought so. You heard him. You heard him.
And then he said, well, we wanted to get, the other thing he said too was, we wanted to get Mitchell Robinson was not on the court or something, and Mitchell wasn't on the court, and he was plus something, plus 20 something in the game. He was the only guy that was in plus for the game, and we didn't want him on the court. The math, Mark, the math again, the dorky geeky nerd, the math. Okay.
Instead of having a feel for what's actually happening in time, in game, you're going with the goddamn analytics. I almost said a bad word, Joe. You would have had to beep me.
Yeah. Hope's listening now. You know?
Yeah.
Mark, it's true, though. The damn analytics are getting in the way. And finally, the nerds are seeing it's coming to bear. Like we said it would. You can't.
Chris, that was ridiculous. That you thought you were going to run the same play from 20 seconds earlier. What coach does that in a playoff game down the stretch when you got 20 seconds, 10 seconds left, whatever they had left?
Yeah, and then on top of it, they had called it that dunk that Tatum had. They called a timeout before they did that. They called a timeout and then had it inbound from down there. Okay.
Well, that's what they should have did. They should have inbounded from down there again.
And then they, and that's the play they had when Tatum made the dunk. So they called a timeout and got to that play. Why don't you call a timeout and get to another play?
Chris, why isn't Brown, not Brown? Why isn't White or Holiday controlling that ball?
Thank you.
And letting Tatum come off the ball and do set a screen, do something for him. Don't let him control the ball at the top. Why wasn't one of your guards controlling the ball?
Mark, and every team does it. Okay, every team does it. But this crap now, I'm sick to death of watching NBA games where, just because there's 10 seconds left, you're down one, you need a basket, your star player gets the ball, who's done jack crap for the whole game, okay? Tatum did shit for the whole game, especially in the fourth quarter. Jaylen Brown can't dribble. He's dribbling on himself, okay? Those are your two best players. But again, we're giving Brown an out a little bit because of the injury. Fine. Tell me why it has to be a walk up the court, hold the ball, take a fall-away jumper. Why can't they run a damn basketball play? Why can't any team in the friggin' NBA run an actual basketball play where the point guard facilitator is holding the goddamn ball in his hand and you catch the open guy for a look? It doesn't have to be the number one star guy that takes the shot. Why?
Yeah, no, they just don't do it anymore. But I guess he describes the play 20 seconds before. I guess you could call that a set play. Okay, fine. If you want that, fine, it was. And it worked, okay? But other than that, if you look at the last 7 or 8 minutes of that game, the Celtics, Chris, didn't come up with a set, a real, to your point, they didn't have a real basketball set happening for the last 7 minutes of that game. All they did, Chris, was want a back screen 3. This 3, They didn't run a play. They didn't run a basketball X's and O play to get somebody
Never.
on ISO, to get somebody under the basket. They didn't do it, except for the one play he describes. Well, it worked 20 seconds before. Okay, that was a design play. But other than that, the last 7 minutes of that game, Chris, as from an X's and O's standpoint, as a coach, that was disgraceful. Disgraceful.
He got schooled by Thibodeau. Thibodeau has wiped his ass for him in this series.
He absolutely has. The first two games
which I think that's tough because I don't think Thibodeau's that great to begin with.
Thibodeau knows how to coach defense, Chris, but you're right. As an overall head coach, he isn't great. You're right. He's not that great.
They missed 14 shots in a row. They got outscored 38-17 in the final 15.
Yeah.
Well, again, and I understand Mazzulla's telling these guys, just take shots. Just keep taking them. Just keep taking them. 25%. Who cares? Keep taking them. But how about somebody on the court be a leader? How about Jason Tatum stand up and say, you know what? This isn't working. You hear these guys in the postgame. You hear Mazzulla in the postgame. They're too goddamn calm. They're too calm. They're too accepting of what the hell is going on. I don't know. I mean, he went and did a retreat. He went and did a retreat 2023. He went to Costa Rica jungle teardown process, took a 3-mile barefoot hike. Well, this is Mazzulla, this crackpot. Like a hired chess prodigy, martial arts. You know what? I don't want to hear it anymore with all your philosophical bullshit. I don't want to hear it, okay? I don't want to hear about it. I want to hear about Taekwondo, and I don't want to hear about that discipline. I want you to coach basketball the way it means to be coached, Marc. That's what?
I'm so glad that you lost your mind more than me. See, I'm calm tonight, Joe. I'm calm. Listen, let me ask you this. It's not even, that whole philosophy you just described about they're too calm. You heard that a week ago, 2 weeks ago, Chris, when Tatum was describing how the pressure's off and we're more relaxed this year. And maybe the pressure shouldn't be off because when the pressure was on you, you guys reacted. It's like there's zombies out there right now. And you know what? The local media here isn't doing them any favors. Because after they lost game 1, they said, well, I guess we'll have to win it in 5.
They'll win it in 5. Yeah.
And now the game 2 loss, well, we'll have to win it in 6. Listen, the way you're playing, you're not winning this. You're not going to win it.
Yeah. Hey, go with the nerds. Go with the numbers. What do the numbers tell you when you're down 0-2 and you lost 2 games at home? What do the numbers say to you? You're winning that series?
No. Nope.
No.
The percentage is extremely low. Listen, all the Knicks got to do, Chris, is try to steal one at home now when you're up 3-1.
That's it. Listen, everybody, they're not winning this series. Get it through your head right now. They're not winning this series. And you and I said it all damn year long. Okay? Something isn't right with this team. They're not the same.
Yeah.
Okay, and they're not.
No, they're not. And listen, this looks like the 2023 team that didn't have the intensity, didn't have the nuts to man up when Miami had the toughness down the stretch of those games, and we got knocked out in the finals, Chris. This is shaping up to be the same damn type of series. And last year, everyone said, they had the easiest road to get there. They had the easiest road. And you and I were like, nah, but they still won it. And I'm going to give them credit for that. I'm not going to go back on that. Listen, they might have had an easy road, but they still won a championship, Chris, and they had to finish. So I'm not going to discredit the championship. They won a ring.
But that's not going to be the narrative now.
No, it's not going to be the narrative. But if you win a ring in any sport, whether it's basketball, baseball, football, hockey,
yeah,
not to detract from you. That's a long season, a long road. You won a ring. I'll give you the credit. However, on this show last year, if anybody wants to go back and listen, I said on numerous occasions, they better hope somebody beats Denver. Because if they Denver, you're not beating them 4 times just because of Jokic. It was a bad matchup for us. Well, lo and behold, Minnesota shoots like 70% in game 7, and they knocked them out. Because if Minnesota don't beat them, Denver rolls through Dallas. Denver would have rolled through Dallas. And then, I don't know if you would have won that ring last year, but you won it. So the fact that you won it and you beat all the opponents you had to face, I'm not going to detract from that. I give you credit. I'm not going to say, you had the easiest road there was. You played the teams you played. You played the teams that you played. That was who came up in front of you and you beat them. So I give you credit. But you're right, Chris. You've been saying it since January. This is not the same team as last year, Marc. And I think on one of the shows, you even said, Marc, it wouldn't shock me if they get knocked out in the first round.
I did.
You said that back in like February. Well, guess what? Okay, it wasn't the first round. Maybe it's the second now.
That's it. And the last thing I'm going to say, and then we'll get to Catone's comments. Marc, this team, how do they go? We've been talking about the offense. This team lives and dies with defense. Okay.
They don't have it.
And when they're great, their guards are playing defense. Their guards are in everybody's pocket. They're guarding high, coming across the timeline. They're picking guys up there, creating turnovers. They're fighting over screens. This is what their MO was, and that's how they generated points on the other end. You're not seeing it from Holiday. You're not seeing it from Brown. You're not seeing it from White. Okay?
Nope.
And that's why they're going to lose this series. Period. End of story. So we'll track it. We'll keep going. Let's hope we're wrong. But B's and C's was presented by Corso Law Group, CorsoLawGroup.com. Hey, we come back. Buckle up. We're already pissed off. Let's see what he brings to the table. Catone's comments is next.
No one ever thinks they will be in need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. Corso Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Call or go online to CorsoLawGroup.com and talk with these expert attorneys who I know will help.
Time for Catone's Comments!
So I'm going to address why they used what busted my beans. I was a little late getting ready to tape today. So I'm gonna bust you. I'm gonna explain to you why. Now, I'm trying to do something nice. I know this weekend, this time of the year, my wife likes to plant certain things, certain pots, and she got these pots set up, and you buy the stuff and you put it in, and she's got these deck boxes that she decorates. She puts flowers in and all kind of different stuff. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna be a nice man. And I'm going to go today. I actually got out of work a little bit earlier today. I said, you know what? I'm going to go. She's out. I'm going to go surprise her. I know what she wants. I'm going to go buy the stuff. Okay. First place I go, they got a couple of little things, but I can't find it. What I'm looking for. And I'm like, well, what the hell's going on over here? They always have it here. So I asked the lady, I says, they were like, they were like these vines and these pansies, and there's different things she wants. So I asked some ivy, right? That hangs, and the lady says, "Oh, that's not out yet." I said, "Well, what do you mean it's not out yet?" I said, "This is the season where you do that stuff because it's Rhode Island. You only got a short window. It's not like, living out, in Florida or Arizona where you have this big window of beautiful weather where you got a very short window." I said, "So what do you mean it's not out?" "Oh, no, we didn't take that out yet." I said, "Well, why not? Where is it? It's in the back. Can you go get it for me? I want to buy it. Go get it. I'll buy it. Get me what are you going to do?" "Oh, well, no, no, that's not out. I can't give it to you. It's not out."
Wait, Marc, where was this again? Where were you again?
I don't want to name the store. I was at a store. I don't want to name it. Yeah, I don't want to name it. For flowers, I don't want to name it. I don't want to name it because Joe gets mad when I name the places. I don't want to name them. Right?
They're not paying us.
They're not paying us. You're right. So now I said, okay, you don't want to do that. Okay, so now I go to a different place. I said, okay, screw you. I'm not staying here then. What are you, nuts? You're blowing a sale because you can't bring it out? Yeah, what the hell is wrong with these people? So now I go to another place. And they have a lot of what I need. I said, oh, this is wonderful. Now I look, I'm going through, I fill up everything I need. I said, this is great. Great. I'm going to surprise her. She's going to be happy because I'm always in the doghouse. Always. I said, oh, she's going to be happy. I'm going to surprise her. I get to the register. Well, now it's not ringing up. So I says, okay. I said, well, punch the number in they got the number on the bottom of the where you scan. I said, punch the number in, it'll come up in the system. She's doing whatever she's doing. I'm waiting there like 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, 5 minutes. She said, oh no, it's not coming up. I said, all right, so can you get a manager? Somebody over here. She said, well, you can't buy these. I said, what are you talking about that I can't buy these? Well, I'm confused. She said, well, they're not in the system. I said, then put them in the system. I said, they're on a rack. They're over there. They're out. They're on display. They're there. This is what I'm saying. I said, then put them in the system. What the hell is so difficult about that? Just put them in the system. I'll pay and I'll get the hell out of here. It's a very simple concept. Kind of easy. Not difficult. Right? She does something. She says, oh, no. She said, I can't sell it. It's not in the system. I said, I want a manager. I want a manager right now. So she brings somebody over. And I said to the gentleman come over. He looked very nice. I said, sir, I said, she's telling me this isn't in the system. I said, so could you please put it in the system so I can get out of here? I got to get home. And he said, oh, let me see. He said, she must be doing something wrong. So he goes in. He starts punching all these things in. I don't know what the hell he's. It's like he's trying. It's like he's solving an equation for I don't know what he's doing. He's punching all these numbers in. He says, oh, yeah, it's not in the system. I said, I just told you it wasn't in the system. I just told you that. The girl's been here for 15 minutes. I said, I know that. I said, I need you to put it in the system so I can get the hell out of here. He says to me, well, no, I can't. I said, what do you mean you can't? He said, if it's not in the system, we got to do the inventory. We got to take it back. I got to see how many things were on the pallet. He says, because then we lose track of what we sold. I said, so you're telling me that I'm sitting here waiting to check out and you won't allow me to purchase these because it's not in the system? He said, yeah, that's correct. I took the box. I said, okay. I want me to put them back. I'll go put them back. I took them there. I flipped the box. I emptied them out upside down. I threw them right. I flipped it over and threw it. Right, everything was all over the floor where the stand was. I said, okay, I'll put them back for you. Here you go. Go get a broom. I said, go get a broom now and clean it up. And I ran out of there. I walked out. Are you kidding me? Two places. I don't know which was worse. Probably the second place was worse. I come home. I had to check to make sure I had my nitroglycerin. I was getting chest pains in my pocket, and I had to take a pill to calm down. And then I get on the show, and you two bozos are busting my beans because I was a few minutes late. I got to listen to you two fools. But right out loud.
Joe, you want to Bozo? Am I Bozo 1 or Bozo 2?
Right out loud.
I'll call me Bozo 1. We'll let Bozo 2 take this one first, you know?
Oh, my God. Well, the store thing is out. He's definitely never going to stop going.
Again about that. First of all,
but I appreciate him doing the nice thing.
Okay, well, I'll get to that in a second. But I'll get to that in a second. Why didn't you just steal them?
Are you crazy? I'm not going to steal them.
Just walk out of the joint with them.
Well, you know what? I probably could.
They're not in the system. How are they going to report it? He stole something that didn't exist.
I'm going to say, you know what? Now that you're saying that, I probably should have just walked away and said, okay, I'll put them back and just walked out of the store with them because you're right. What are they going to do? Not with
Why didn't you just drop a $50? Because you're like one of the only dinosaurs that is still carrying cash. Why didn't you just drop a $50 bill on the counter and take the things and leave? Listen, if I keep telling you over and over again and you're just not listening, you got to get yourself kicked out of all these stores, trespass, where you could never go back. And then you don't have to do any of this anymore. You don't have to go to places.
Joe,
say, go to the store. Go to the store and get me whatever. I can't. You see the order right here. See the order? I'm ordered not to go back.
Advice he's giving me. Get myself thrown out. Bye.
You know, and you just keep knocking them down one at a time. Just keep, right? Joe, I mean, isn't that sound solid?
Unfortunately,
maybe you have to spend a few nights in jail here and there. So what?
You're giving away all your tricks.
I've taken Chris's advice, and most of the stuff we do now, we really do use Amazon, like everything, like Chris does, right? But for these, I can't order them on Amazon. You got to go somewhere and get them, right?
But what business do you have buying flowers?
I don't. I was trying. I don't. I was trying to be nice.
Okay.
I wasn't planting them. I wasn't planting them. She does.
Yeah, you want to bet? So listen, I call him the other night during one of these games, right? And he answers the phone and he's like this. Yeah, whatever. Like worse than he normally sounds, you know?
Oh, I had no voice, Joe. Monday
I'm
night, I
like,
had no voice, Joe.
I'm like, what the hell's the matter
Sunday
with you?
night, Monday night.
I said, what the hell's wrong with you? Oh, my wife bought some sort of hydrangea. He's like naming the plants, which concerns me to begin with. He's like, she bought a hydrangea and I'm allergic to it. And I, on and on. I don't care. I says, yeah, that's not going to play well for the show. He's like, you don't even care. I could be on my deathbed. I said, I don't care. I said, the bottom line, the show comes first. And his voice sounded like crap. And so you didn't learn from that. You went back again to look at plants that you know nothing about.
I don't know anything about it. I don't know about anything.
He sounded like he was about 117 years old, you know?
I don't know what to do with both of you.
Listen, Marc, you want to know what
you mean to tell me you've never bought stuff like that?
No, I don't buy it. I don't leave. I don't go to stores. I don't go places. And now it's to the point where everybody knows it. Just like on a Sunday, nobody in my world invites me to do anything on Sunday.
Well, during football season, everybody knows that about me too. Nobody bothers me. Nobody bothers me.
No Sunday in the year does anybody invite me there. When I got to do something on a Sunday, last Sunday I had to go to a graduation party at 4:00. To me, 4:00 on Sunday is Monday morning, basically.
What?
Because you got to like start preparing for Monday. Like you got to start your mind preparing for Monday around that time.
Yeah.
You get the Sunday scaries.
Yeah.
You know,
the Sunday scaries.
Yeah,
what are you back in school again?
Well, Joe, these are for people that get up at dawn and
early
work all day. You sleep till noon and work till 3 a.m.
Right.
This kid's working. His whole thing. I mean, he goes down in that dungeon. He sits there till 3 o'clock in the morning. But anyway,
he's having like rose petals for healthy rose petals for snacks.
For snacks.
We're eating bags of Pringles.
Marc, the moral of the story, we're going to get to the baseball. The moral of the story here is don't do anything nice for anybody ever again. That's it.
Yeah.
Don't do drugs.
That's it. And don't
Can you imagine, though? Listen, these stores, Chris, are all hurting for cash, supposedly.
Wow.
And you're telling me I have it at the register. You can't buy those?
No.
Why not? Are you kidding? Like, think about that, honestly. I'm going to write a letter. I'm going to do an email to the company. And I'm going to say to them.
I'm sure they really care.
Yeah, they won't care. But it'll make me feel good.
Nobody writes letters anymore, Marc. Just so you know.
Not a letter, email. I caught myself. I said an email. I caught myself. I'm a dinosaur. You're T-Rex.
That's because the area you live in, it's an insane asylum. Like the Celtics. What's the definition of insane? Doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. There's the Celtics. There's you. That's it. You're lock in step with the Boston Celtics. All right, Marc. Good stuff. Don't help anybody anymore. Screw everybody. Catone's Comments was presented by the Pats Nation. Sundays, 8 a.m. Tune in tomorrow. We're going to have undrafted free agents, talk wide receivers, the wide receiver room, and so much more. When we come back, we're going to go Yankees versus Red Sox, and we're going to have to do it quick.
Sundays are for football, and here in New England, that means
it's the Pats Nation with Corso and Catone. Sundays, 8 to 9 a.m.
Back in with more Corso and Catone, the real deal, New England feel. All right, Yankees versus Red Sox, Joe. Yes. Yes. We had the Godzilla roar. I love it. Tokyo's being invaded. All right, Marc. Take yourself off mute, and let's talk about the Yankees and Red Sox, okay? Want to talk Yankees? Because there's a lot of drama with the Red Sox, so we got to talk about that.
Well, yeah, we could talk Yankees first, probably, right?
Yeah.
Because there is a lot of the Red Sox. Well, I know you're gonna go crazy again with the Red Sox. So the Yankees, Chris, couple of things. They're in first place. They're like 5 games over 500, but
Yeah.
the starting pitching, it's a struggle. They're piecing together starting pitching with the injuries that they have, and that's going to be a sore spot all season. I don't know, Chris, what they can do to correct that. I mean, I guess they're going to have to make a trade during the trade deadline. They're not going to have a choice. They're going to have to bring in a starting pitcher, and they're going to pray that the rookie from last year, can come back sometime in July, and maybe he gives you something in September, in October. I don't know. But you're going to need starting pitching. The bullpen hasn't been bad. I think they finally decided the closer is going to be Weaver. Williams came in last night. Is always scary when he comes in. But how about Aaron Judge? Let's talk about Aaron Judge.
Sure.
Aaron Judge is on pace to win the Triple Crown. Average, home runs, RBIs. He's batting 400. Now, listen, I realize it's only May, 9th, 10th, whatever it is, right? But he's hitting 400. He's got 12, 13 home runs, leads the league in RBI, leads the league in every category, Chris. They thought, he benefited from Soto. Yeah, he benefited from Soto, all right. Yeah, okay. Soto benefited from him. Because Soto's a great player, but some of those stats Soto had last year was because he was batting with, Judge was behind him. So if Judge continues on this pace, Chris, they got him in a bargain. Remember, they were debating on whether they wanted to give him what they gave him. When you look at these salaries now, he may decide he wants to renegotiate. They got him in a bargain for what they're paying him. Now, a couple of things.
Still can't perform in the postseason, though.
Well, that's the one thing he's going to do, right? That's the one thing he's going to do. Couple of more things, and then I know you want to go off on the Red Sox. Shortstop, Volpe, didn't take that next step, Chris, that you talked about. You said
not yet, anyway.
He's going to take that next step. He's got the kid down there, Lombard. They already moved him up to Double-A. That kid's coming. That kid could be a September call-up if he keeps hitting like he's hitting in the minor leagues. Yeah. Volpe will be find himself on the bench real quick. He's going to have to start hitting.
Move him to third and bring the other kid up.
Yeah. Paul Goldschmidt, Chris, is hitting 360. He's a pleasant surprise. You and I didn't know if he had anything left in the tank. He does. He's playing well, hitting well. He's a veteran. He's a leader in the room. He's helping. And Bellinger, we're going to hope he gets going. He was a guy that was going to help with the loss of Soto, but he really hasn't.
Chisholm's not playing really well at second.
Chisholm's not playing well. So right now, Chris, the division stinks. The American League as a whole, I think, stinks.
Yeah.
So the Yankees, Chris, they're going to float around first place in wild card all year. They should make the playoffs, but pitching, consistency in the middle to the bottom half of the order, consistency, those are areas they're struggling with, Chris, and I don't know if there's any answers for that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, but you can point to specific things that happen injury-wise and stuff like that.
Injury-wise,
why we're dealing with some of that.
Absolutely.
What you can't do is point to any of that crap with the Boston Red Sox. Yeah. Okay? Listen, I've never seen a team shoot themselves in the foot more than this team, especially given what you just said. Here's the AL East. Baltimore is shocking right now.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
What the hell's happening with them? Even Tampa. Toronto. Listen, you talk about they could be taking advantage of this situation. The Boston
Red Sox, you mean?
Yeah. And they're just pissing it away. Okay? Because of drama. So now you get the first base. Cassis goes down. He's done for the season. Horrific injury. We've given him a lot of crap, but you want to see anybody get hurt like that.
No.
But so now he's down. So what do they do at first base? So the thought comes up, well, first, see, this is where I think Breslow and Mazzulla have dinner together every night. Okay? Because you talk about Anthony. Say, all right, maybe Anthony's put him at first base, right? Possibly. Okay. This is what he says in the geek nerd talk. Okay, I think just given Anthony's age, there's still an opportunity for him to develop in the outfield until you feel like there's that there's a place where just isn't a massive opportunity cost to taking reps. And you see all this talk, this nerd talk. I can't even say it right. Okay, taking reps away. That's where he should be focused. And also, I think obviously at some point he's going to be impacting our major league team, and throw another variable in the mix probably doesn't make a ton of sense when you're transitioning back to the blah, 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 blah. Okay. This is who's running the Red Sox right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is what it is. And then let's talk about Devers now. So you say, okay, you don't want Roman Anthony to play there. You and I talked in spring training about, well, if he wants to play in the field so bad, Devers, then
maybe you could. We were talking about maybe trading Cassis for get some good guys in return, and maybe you put Devers at first base, right?
see if he could play first.
Yeah.
I mean, if you could play third in baseball, you should be able to play first without a problem. Your son was an enigma in college, like how he did it. Like he was a first baseman and he moved over to third. You don't see, rare guys can do things like that. Okay. And he was. So, that's different. But a guy who plays third should be able to play first.
Yeah.
Except this. Regardless of whether this is coming from Alex Spear of Boston Globe. Regardless of whether the Sox explore first base as an option for Devers, it's clear their roster would be more functional if he proved willing and capable of such a move. So will the Sox make that request? Are they perhaps hoping Devers will volunteer for such a position? Or will they double down on Devers as a DH and nothing else? Or is the idea of asking him to change roles again, just as he's settling into the new one, too delicate? And is that delicate? Like, I don't know. Let's pass him a note in fifth period English and ask him. I mean, Joe, do you have Cora? Do you have the Cora sound? Well, anyway.
Let me cue that up.
Well, hang on, because I don't know if we're going to have time now anyway. Look.
But cue it up just in case, Joe.
Well, Cora's whole thing was when he was asked is, no. Have you talked to him about it? No. Are you going to? No. And now Devers today, we're recording on Thursday, comes out and says, did you hear this one? He comes out and says, basically, well, I can't play every position on the field. He says, I don't think it's appropriate for them to ask me to play another position when they've already asked me to switch again. What? I mean, what?
Let me ask you a question, Chris. What control?
You're the best player on this team. You do what's necessary to win.
Let me ask you a question. What control does Cora have of this team in this locker room, Chris?
And I knew you would go there, so go. None.
Okay. Because I don't understand. This team is not disciplined. They're not good. They're okay. They have more talent than their record shows. Cora
not playing the sum of their parts, but go ahead.
No. Cora pussyfoots around stuff. Listen, for those of you that, I think he's a great man. He's not listen. Cora has lost all my respect. Cora is not the manager we thought he was, Chris. Yeah, he won it in 18 with a collection of guys who people could have went into the locker room. You just had to play with egos a little bit. You weren't managing. You weren't teaching. You weren't making guys better as the year went on. You didn't have to. Oh, and by the way, you were cheating, but that's a whole nother issue. We won't go there. Why, like Cora, Chris, at some point, give him the goddamn door. They keep kissing his ass. Yeah. What do you think?
Marc, they're soft. This team is soft. They have no grit at all. Okay. They have no fight. They have egos. They're worried about the weather. And that's directly is on Cora, because let me tell you something. If they had a real manager, they'd be 5-6 games up on New York right now, because they got the talent to do it.
Yeah.
And that. So yeah, Cora has to go. This team is a collection of stiffs and soft players. End of story. It starts with Devers at the top. So, but we got to go. Corso and Catone was presented by the Pats Nation, Sundays, 8 a.m. Eastern. Hey, tomorrow we're going to have our breakdown of undrafted free agents, our wide receiver room, and how the coaches will use them. And make sure you come back to this show next weekend, noon Eastern. We're going to see if the Celtics are still in the playoffs, Catone's comments, and so much more. We are Corso and Catone, the real deal, New England feel. See you next Saturday.
Now find Corso and Catone on AM 790, The Score, iHeartRadio, iTunes, wherever you podcast. Or subscribe to the YouTube channel and catch the chaos every Saturday at noon.